Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. It feels like it's been absolute ages since we last did a video, and I think it's been about 6 or 7 months. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed and who has been showing me a lot of love and support by doing so and by giving it the big thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, please do subscribe. It might help you learn something, or maybe you'll drop something in the comments that will help me learn something. It's all about learning and sharing knowledge anyway. So I've got a few things that are already ready, which is a box, backdrop, and I've got a few things in the scene, which is camera and two cameras and some lighting. I want to show you guys a quick little render at the end as well, so I don't want to spend another 20 odd minutes setting everything up. So let's get straight to it. We're going to do an object reveal effect, which is going to be a cloth that's going to fall onto this object. We'll start off by it being on this object, and then it's going to get pulled off. So let's do this. I'm going to start off first with a disk, and I'm going to bring this disk up. A quick little tip is if you link these segments, rotational segments and disk segments, you will get sort of a uniform mesh. So I've linked these both now, and if I bring it up, it's actually linked. So it's giving me 78 segments and 78 rotational segments, which gives us this nice looking mesh. So after we've done this, pick the relevant resolution. If you've not got such a powerful machine, it might be better to start off on the lower end before bringing it up. But my computer is reasonably spec'd, so we'll just use 55 for this example. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hit C on the keyboard, which is going to turn it into an editable mesh. And what we're going to do then is right click on this box and put a simulation tag on, which is a collider. I've already got it in my shelf at the top, so I'm just going to activate it from there. When I press play, I'm going to be able to not see anything because I haven't put the cloth tag on the disk. I'm going to rename this to cloth so I know what it is. Once I select the cloth tag, which can be found in simulation tags and cloth, when I hit play, the animation should play. Brilliant. As you can see, it's quite rigid and quite stiff at the moment, so we need to change some of the settings. If we go into cloth and where it says bendiness, I'm going to increase that to 5555 and the stretchiness to about 25, the target length to about 115. And the target length is just basically going to expand the cloth or whatever object you've got this tag on more than it is at right now. It's at a scale of 100%. It's going to increase it to 115. It gives you them nice little ruffles and stuff and creases in the cloth, which I like. And the stretchiness is how much the cloth is going to stretch, and the bendiness is what also gives you them intricate details in the cloth. So when I press play now, we should automatically have something a lot better. Yep, we've got some sort of bunching here, but we're going to we're going to make that better now. I think it's got to do with the way the segments are on this. So what we can do is we can just move this tag up for now so we don't lose it. If we press Shift C to bring up the commander and keep Alt pressed and double click remesh, it's going to turn it into the parent, and we are going to change the mesh density from 100% to 250, just so that you've got even, evenly spread quads and nicer looking quads. This will obviously, the topology will affect the simulation heavily. So you can press C again, turn it into an editable mesh, drag the cloth tag back onto the mesh, press play, should automatically, like I said, act a lot better. There we go. We're getting better folds now because of the topology, and we can make this even better if we want, but for this purpose it will do. So I'm going to go back again and go into the cloth tag and see what else we've got here. So we've got target thickness, which we can increase. Let's do 120. We'll increase it to 120. That'll give us 20% more than its original size. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm happy with that. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the thickness. So it's at 1.5. I'm going to change it to 2.2. That's just to give it a bit more of a sort of a safe distance between the cube and the cloth, just so that they don't intersect. So if you press play now, I'm happy with that. You might be able to see some sort of mesh coming through on the wireframe, but that's only the drawing distance. Something got to do with the way it draws it. If we go further out, we'll be able to see it, but as going close, you can see that it is actually perfectly fine. Another thing I forgot to mention, if you press Ctrl D and go into your scene, you will be able to go into simulation tab, and usually it's set on 20. I have increased this to 30, and I have also increased the collision passes, which is usually set on 2 to 5. That just sort of gives it makes your computer work a lot harder, but it also gives you more accurate results when it comes to simulation. So luckily I remembered to put that in there. Mine is set like that by default, so I don't need to mess about with it, but you guys will if it's still on the standard setting of Cinema 4D. So now we've got this cloth working and it's falling as it should. We're going to go back into the cloth tag, go into dresser, and where it says initial state, we're going to click on set. You can click it a few times if your mouse is a bit weird, like my previous mouse was. Now, when we press play, it should stay in the state that we selected. So I'd let you guys select your own sort of timeline on when you'd want to do that. This one would be okay for me. And now we've got this down to a T and it's working as it should. We're going to create something to pull this cloth off, and I'm going to use a helix. First of all, I'm going to reduce its size from 100 by 100 on the start and end radius, and then on the end angle I'm going to change it to 0, which should give me a straight line. It has, brilliant. Then I'm going to press C, which is going to convert that into an editable spline, and then you can go into axis center, which I believe is in mesh. No, it's not. It's in tools, is it? They've moved everything around, so there it is. Yeah, in tools, axis center, which will bring up this dialog, and I just press execute, which will take the pivot to the center, or will move this null to the center of the object, which makes it a bit easier to move around. Now we will go back into here and I will rotate it by 90 degrees and bring it as close as I can to the mesh. So I'm going to bring it about there, bring it back, bring it lower so that it's closer. It doesn't have to be necessarily touching it. It's probably better if it doesn't. Sometimes you get a bit of a weird result, so I'm just going to bring it slightly up. Perfect. Now we've got that. I'm going to change this to rope just so that I know what I'm dealing with here. And then on the rope, I'm going to put, funny enough, a rope tag, and on the remesh, which is actually a cloth, I'm going to put a connector. Now on the connector, let's go a bit closer to the mesh. You have a search radius and it's searching for the rope tag. If you press create, nothing's come up, so we need to increase the search radius. And if you do update live, that might be better because it shows you where it's connecting its points to. So I think around about here would be perfect. So I'm going to say I'm okay with that and press create. Another thing also, when you create this rope, it needs to actually have, oops, there's a bell going off, sorry about that. It needs to have a decent amount of vertex points, which are these points here, or vertices should I say, for it to be able to catch it, because it's catching it on the point and then sort of mapping it to the existing mesh so that it knows where it's going to pull from. So let's go back here. Another thing we need to do, now it's a simulation, once we try to move it, as you'll see on the beginning frame it will move, but if I set a key, which is what you need to do anyway, so I'm going to go to around the 12th frame, I'm going to set a key, and then I'm going to go to the 35th frame, and then I'm going to pull it back. As you'll see, it won't move, and that's because it's a simulation. So if I go back into rope and I go into forces, mix animation, sorry, and where it says with force, I'm going to activate that. So that's basically going to tell the simulation to respect the animation that's on it, and we're going to increase the strength force to 2. And whilst we're here, we might as well go into tag, and where it says target length, we're going to decrease that to 80 to make the rope shrink. Stretchiness, we're going to move that to 0, and bendiness, we're going to move that to 0 as well. And then hopefully, now when I press play, we should be able to see the cloth, and then the cloth is going to pull it, and then there you go, we've got the cloth coming off, but it's not fully coming off. So what we can do there is we can maybe go back into cloth again, and where it says target length, let's move it to 60% and see what happens. Let's press play again. That should hopefully bring it off, and if it doesn't, it's just a trial and error. So let's go to the second keyframe on the rope, which is there, and all it means is that I need to drag it further back. So let's drag it further back, press key, go back, press play. We're just trying to finesse this and get it right to how you want it to look. That's perfect. If you want it to stick a bit more, you can go back into cloth, and where it says stickiness, you can increase that. Let's put that to 2, and in the rope as well, you'll have stickiness as well. We'll increase that to 1. Just gives it a better feel for the type of cloth you're going for. There's cloths out there that are a bit more friction heavy than others. So that seems to be working fine. I can also add it onto the backdrop, I believe, in collision. You've got stick, so let's do 0.2 on stick. Let's play it back and let's see what happens. So the rope pulls it, and as it's pulling it, see how it's completely changed the effect. I think that is way too much. So I'm going to change this to 0.01. Let's see what happens now. So we've got 0.01, and it's still quite strong. Also, this whole scene is created in a slightly different way, in the sense of when I created this cube, I changed it to 50 centimeters. As you know, all simulations rely on the right sizing. So let's press play again. Let's see what happens. It's still, I believe, too sticky. We can go back into here. And just for this sake, I'm just going to remove this. You'll have to obviously adjust all your settings accordingly. This one should work. It's going to come off, and there we go. That's it done. So what we can do now is we're going to bake this. So we can go into cloth and go into cache and say cache scene. And what this cache scene is going to do is going to enable you to play it back real time. It's going to speed up your whole scene, and it'll take off a lot of the stress from your computer, so it doesn't need to. And I can literally grab it from anywhere on the timeline and play it, and it will do that, whereas when it's a simulation, it won't. So now you can see we're pretty much near what we wanted to create. There's a few other things we can do, which is to up the density of this. So the way we're going to do that is by using a cloth surface as a parent. So once the cloth surface is on, it'll automatically improve the resolution of the mesh, as you can see. And then the thickness, I'm going to put it at 0.1 just to give it, because cloth is never paper thin. And we should still have relatively good feedback on the viewport, which we do. And we've got overall a better looking mesh. Now, sometimes what happens is when you create an object and you start subdividing it, so if you get these weird sort of faces, so what you can do is you can go onto the Fong tag, and if you increase this Fong angle, it should get rid of a lot. As you can see, if I reduce it, it makes it quite pixelated, and as I increase it, it sort of smoothens the face and gives it a better look. So that's it, guys. That's the whole animation done. Now I'm going to activate my lights and my scene just to show you what I did to it, and I'm going to go into Arnold now. That's a previous test I was doing. I've got the materials ready, so I've already got the gold material on the cube, and now I'm going to put this purple type material on the cloth with a little bit of a shine, and maybe I should remove a bit of this shine because I feel like it's a bit too much. So I can go into roughness and increase it. I can go into specular and reduce it. I think around there would be fine for me. Like I said, it's just about, this is a tutorial just to create a base, and then you guys can improve on it how you see fit. So my scene now looks something like this, which is, if I play it, it starts from there, and then it goes to the other camera, and the camera is slightly rotating on its axis. And if I create a quick little preview of that, you'll be able to see this is how it looks. So from the start, it looks like this, and when I press play, it slowly grabs it, the rope, and then the rope pulls onto the cloth. Then as you can see here, the rope is getting pulled, 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 pulled. It switches to the second camera, and it's still getting pulled until the cloth comes off the object and it reveals it. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, share and subscribe. And if there's any other tutorials you want me to create, please do drop a comment in the comments section below. And I'm sure I'll go through some comments and pick another comment on which I can create another tutorial on. So yeah guys, thanks for watching and have a great day. See you again soon.